For 40 years, John, a Vietnam veteran, has lived a life of chosen solitude. His home is a small, rugged cabin nestled deep within the vast, untamed wilderness of Montana. The nearest town is a 2-hour drive away, and that's just how he likes it. The silence of the mountains, the whispering of the pines, and the cry of distant eagles are his only companions, or so he thought. Every single night, without fail, the silence is shattered. As the clock on his mantelpiece ticks towards 11:14 p.m., a knot of dread tightens in his stomach. He knows what's coming. And precisely at 11:14 p.m., it begins. A voice, young and desperate, cuts through the night air. "Sarge, stay with us. Sarge, stay with us." The words are faint, as if carried on the wind from a great distance, yet they sound as though they are right outside his window. This isn't just any time of night. 11:14 p.m. is a moment seared into John's memory, a moment frozen in time from a lifetime ago. It was the exact moment, 40 years past, during a humid jungle night, that his platoon walked into a devastating ambush. The chaos, the fear, the sudden, brutal finality of it elits a movie that plays in his mind on a loop. But this is different. This isn't just a memory. Following the ghostly plea, a new wave of sounds begins. The frantic thud of combat boots on his wooden porch. The unmistakable, metallic clatter of M16 rifles being dropped, hitting the deck boards with a sound that makes the hairs on his arms stand up. It's the sound of his men, the 5 young soldiers he lost that night, replaying their final, desperate moments. Every night, the same sequence. The voice, the footsteps, the fallen weapons. It's a spectral echo of a tragedy that has haunted him for 4 decades. John is a practical man. He's not one for ghost stories or flights of fancy. He's tried everything to rationalize it. He's checked for faulty wiring, for animals under the porch, for wind whistling through a crack in the wall. He's even considered that his own mind, burdened by post-traumatic stress, is playing tricks on him. He's gone to doctors who offered him medication for his nerves, but the sounds persisted. They were too real, too consistent, too tied to that specific, terrible moment in time. Night after night, John would sit in his worn armchair, rifle across his lap, waiting. Not to fight, but to listen. These were his boys. He could almost see them: Miller, the wisecracking kid from Brooklyn; Garcia, who was always writing letters home to his girl; Thompson, the quiet farm boy who could fix anything. They were just boys, and he was their sergeant, their Sarge. He had failed to bring them home, and now it seemed they had followed him home instead. The nightly ritual became a strange sort of penance, a way to share their final moments, to bear witness to what happened when no one else could. He started talking back to them. "I'm here, boys," he'd whisper into the darkness. "I'm not going anywhere." It was a one-sided conversation, but it brought a sliver of comfort, a connection to the men he'd never been able to properly mourn. But after years of this solitary haunting, a new thought began to take root in John's mind. What if he wasn't just losing his sanity? What if this was real? If it was real, then maybe, just maybe, there was a way to prove it. Not for anyone else, but for himself. He needed to know. He needed something tangible, something to hold on to that wasn't just a memory or a phantom sound. So, one evening, armed with a new sense of purpose, John took out an old tape recorder he used to listen to music on. It was a simple, analog device, but it was all he had. He placed it on the windowsill, pointing the small, built-in microphone towards the porch. He checked the batteries, inserted a fresh cassette tape, and pressed the record button. Then, he sat in his chair and waited. The minutes ticked by, each one stretching into an eternity. 11:10, 11:12. The familiar anxiety returned, but this time it was mixed with a strange anticipation. 11:14. The voice cried out, clear as day, "Sarge, stay with us." John held his breath. He heard the desperate running, the heavy boots pounding on his porch. Then the sickening clatter of the rifles hitting the wood. It was louder tonight, more vivid than ever before. After a few minutes of absolute silence, John slowly got up. His hands trembled as he walked to the window and stopped the recording. He rewound the tape, his heart pounding against his ribs. He didn't know what he was more afraid of, hearing the sounds on the tape or hearing nothing at all. He pressed play. First, there was only the hiss of the empty tape, the quiet hum of the room. He could hear the distant chirping of crickets, the sound of his own breathing. He fast-forwarded a little, to the exact time of the event, and then he heard it. It's faint but undeniably there. Sarge, ... stay with us. The words were distorted, woven into the static of the old tape, but they were there. He kept listening, and he heard it again, the faint sound of running, followed by a distinct series of thuds and clatters. A wave of emotion washed over John, so powerful it buckled his knees. He sank into his chair, the tape recorder clutched in his hand like a holy relic. It was real. After 40 years, he had proof. He wasn't crazy. His boys were here. They were really here. He didn't record the sounds to show anyone else. He didn't need to. Tape was for him. It was a validation of his experience, a bridge between his world and theirs. That night on, the haunting changed. The dread was replaced by a sense of duty, of companionship. Every night at 11:14, he'd sit with his recorder, not to capture the sounds, but simply to be present with them. The ghostly platoon was no longer a source of terror, but a nightly vigil. A reminder of the bond forged in the crucible of war, a bond that not even death could break. In the vast, lonely wilderness of Montana, John was no longer alone. Every night, his platoon assembled on his porch, and every night, their sergeant was there to answer the call. He stayed with them. Thank you for watching. If you found this story moving, please like this video and subscribe to our channel for more incredible stories from the shadows of history. We'll see you next time.